It's April 6th and the girls just ate lunch and they're trying to sled down this little bit of a coulee hill that we have in the south end. The big hill back in here, there's a fairly good sized hill where the cows are fed during the winter. And it's really nice, but there's so many branches and broken trees they can't sled nicely, so they're trying to use these cow paths. But this is a south bank, so the sun hits this bank all day long. It's melted most of their snow away. So I'm just going to change the oil in the tractor. So we bedded and fed all the cows this morning, and I've had the tractor sitting out here with the loader up, cooling down for a few minutes. So right here is where you add oil when we're done. Right here is where you drain the oil. So we'll start there. And then if we come around to the other side, the reason you need the loader up is this is where the turbine rotor is for the oil filter. I can't remember if you gotta take the shroud off that I had off the other day. I kind of think you do. But anyways, I'll quickly grab the owner's manual because I can't remember exactly how this turbine comes apart. This nut here basically just pulls the shell off, and then I think there's a secondary nut. There's a type of screen looking thing, so go look at the owner's manual for a second. Then what everybody and their dog sells in Alberta is shell rotella. This is T3 bulk. I think this is fleet. It's 1540. This is an empty pail. So that's what we'll be using, is either this or rotella. But even Canadian Tire's given up, again 1540. Even they've given up, and they now carry the shell symbol on their back of their pail. They used to pretend, and used to say made in Canada from domestic and imported content, but now they've got the little shell on there. And then this is what I usually use, is T4 shell rotella 15W40. It's obviously shell. These are 65 bucks for a 5-gallon pail. There's the helper. These are 65 bucks, sometimes 70 depending on where you go. That was on sale for 49, I believe. So it's pretty much the same oil. So I picked it up because it's 25 bucks cheaper. So okay, there's the operator's manual, owner's manual for the 420 Belarus, which is a T40. Right there. Table degreasing the tractor T40A. That's the greasing interval. And again, this is basically Belarus tractor factory. Tractor T40A, so in acrylic, a P is an R, a K is a C, and then you have to do the different letters. This is ZAVOD, which is factory in Russian. So yeah, 1978, that's what I said the other day, I think. Okay, sorry, crankcase, 11 liters. So I can't remember if that includes when you do the little filter there or not. But on the filter they call it Centrifugal. The Russians, owner manual is pretty good. It gives you the drain plug information and then the rotary oil filter and the procedure. And then one other thing we got to check here is fuel pump lube oil level. And you just use whatever you're using for engine oil. So there's our bucket. That's a T3. Gonna drain the oil into. And in true farmer fashion, we're gonna use a 15-inch crescent wrench. And there she is draining away. So we'll let that drain. Okay, approximately half a bucket. So pretty much done. So in my opinion, Belarus has got a bad seal in this fuel pump. As I always push out a lot of diesel fuel. We're just starting to get to the 1540. So when I first was doing it, as per normal, there was a ton of diesel fuel coming out. And now we're just getting to the 1540 that I put in there, so it's purging out the diesel. So I always run a little bit of used or clean engine oil through and purge all that diesel out of there, because it's thinning that oil out. That 1540 is probably more like 530 or something. Okay, those are interested, that's 27 on the nut here, on the rotor cover. So you just spin this nut off. It's a copper washer, like so many other things on this tractor. Careful not to lose that. That's your seal for your cover. Then I thought this was marked before, but I just marked it with a felt. I'm certain it was marked before. So there you go. That's the inside. That's the inside. There appears to be a little bit of rubbing, but this is how it works essentially. Is it spins around in here. So anyways, I need to get the wrench and take that off. And check that out. Okay, so that's a 19 on there, and then you just simply lift this up. That's the inside of the filter housing, and then this is the rotor, and there's jets there and there that you just clean up, and that's what propels this around the the casing in there, is the pressure coming out of those jets. Forgot to mention, you have to mark it. So the guy that owned this before me, he had it marked. Okay, I forgot to take the camera and film taking this apart, but essentially you take that large nut off, it pulls apart, there's some oil galleries in there, a strainer screen, and then the rotor itself. Make sure you mark it if it's not marked. And the grime is on the walls and in the passages. So the Russians have a technique for cleaning it. I just hose it all down with brake clean. Clean out the passages. You want to make sure the jets are not restricted. And then you tighten this large nut back down on the shaft that passes through, and align your marks, and then put it back in here. Okay, tighten your nut. There is a torque value for it. I don't know what it is. Basically, you need the rotor to be able to spin. This is tight, and the rotor still spins. And then there's the warning every 120 hours. And then with the 27-inch or 27 millimeter wrench, tighten that nut back on. This is stationary, and when you shut the tractor off, you should hear the rotor spin for, I don't know, up to 30 seconds. So the good news is this appears to have stopped leaking on the cooler in here. So that's positive, but we have fresh oil over there. So the oil leak continues, and it could be these heads. So we're at 1,000 hours on this tractor, so it needs a valve job, and the heads are, the head bolts I think are 2,000 hours. But if we're going to do a valve job, we're probably going to do the head bolts. So probably look at doing that when it gets warmer. So I'll put the shroud back on here. And then these air-cooled D144 Dutes copies are notorious for running hot. So you have to ensure you get the shroud back on here properly, because the smallest crack and you're giving up a ton of your cooling. And then you add oil right down there. This looks about a half a bucket, so I'm going to say it's 11 liters, and then we'll check on the dipstick, which is down in there, just to make sure. Okay, according to the dipstick, we're right up to the level there, so we'll start her up. And that's about where it runs when it's warm, is 3, just over 3. When it's cold, it's closer to the 4. That's pretty much it for the oil change, and I'll go put her away, and then I'll check her again before I use it.